This is House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, who might again become the Speaker of the House if the Democrats manage to win the midterm elections. Nancy Pelosi just said that Democrats believe in securing our borders. Really? Who are they securing down at the border? Are they providing security for MS-13? Because it seems like all they're doing is fighting against President Donald Trump's wall and fighting against ICE being able to do their jobs. Now, Nancy Pelosi said that Democrats are, one of their big policy points is they're going to end the separation policy that the Trump administration uses down on the border, separating children from their parents when they illegally come into the country. Well, it turns out she's a little late on that because President Trump already ended that program. It was a program put into place by Barack Obama. President Donald Trump ended it by executive order. And so the Democrats are just lying and pretending that this policy is still going on because it's one of the only things that's managed to rile up their base recently. Oh, that and banning guns. Now, Nancy Pelosi so clearly is being exposed as a hypocrite on this issue, and Democrats broadly are being exposed as hypocrites. Let's look at Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserperson Schultz. Sorry. It turns out that Debbie Wasserman Schultz, so her IT guy, the Pakistani guy, Imran Awan, he was arrested for bank fraud, for fraudulently obtaining a loan from the Congressional Credit Union on a house that he didn't even own. Well, it turns out on the very day that Imran Awan handed over his laptop to authorities, Debbie Wasserman Schultz quietly canceled her bank loans, including a loan on a motorcycle. Now, I don't know if you can picture Debbie Wasserman Schultz riding a motorcycle, but apparently she's Easy Rider. Biker Debbie Wasserman Schultz canceled her bank loan, which was supposedly on a motorcycle, the very same day that her IT guy handed over her laptop. We have published the documents, the financial information never before seen, showing Debbie Wasserman Schultz's bank loans from Bank of the West. She canceled them as soon as the scandal happened. Let's move on to Mazie Hirono. Now, Mazie Hirono, a good friend of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, okay? Now, this person went out in front of the country and condemned all men. Men have to take responsibility in this country during the Brett Kavanaugh controversy, which was completely fabricated. Well, it turns out that Mazie Hirono personally covered up sexist harassment at a flight school that she created. She created the Honolulu Flight School, the aviation program, when she was Lieutenant Governor of Hawaii. It turns out a pilot named Deborah Reed came to big league politics and said, no. It turns out that in this program, all of the women were dropping out because they were unable to get their pilot license because there was a sexist flight instructor who refused to pass them and who verbally and emotionally abused them. Deborah Reed brought these concerns to Mazie Hirono. Mazie Hirono directly swept it all under the rug. The male students in the class gave her a petition defending the teacher. Mazie Hirono swept the whole thing under the rug. Now we know that Mazie Hirono is a hypocrite because she does not practice what she preaches in her own policy and in her own life. Chris Coons, the Democrat from Delaware. Here's Chris Coons. Now, this guy was all outraged about Brett Kavanaugh drinking in high school. We need an FBI investigation. He went on 60 Minutes with his friend Jeff Flake to talk about how we need an FBI investigation into Brett Kavanaugh. But there's no FBI investigation into the wild partying that Chris Coons was doing when he was in prep school at the Tower Hill School in Wilmington, Delaware. Two former classmates of Chris Coons came to big league politics and told us this guy used to throw ragers, keg parties with women in bikinis. This was in high school because his mother actually married this big waterproof clothing magnate, and so they would jet off to Europe. So Chris Coons would have the house to himself, and he would throw ragers, and there was white powder present, meaning cocaine. Cocaine was present at the parties that Chris Coons was throwing, according to two of his former classmates, not to mention women in bikinis. So where does he get off talking about Brett Kavanaugh having a few brewskis in high school? The Democrats are hypocrites, and if the Democrats come back into power in the midterm elections, you're going to have committee chairs like Dianne Feinstein, who of course is under investigation for leaking Christine Blasey Ford's letter. You're going to have Chuck Schumer as the majority leader. Chuck Schumer, who Tom Cotton has blamed, said he was responsible for leaking the letter, for creating this entire hoax against Brett Kavanaugh, failing to block Brett Kavanaugh from the Supreme Court. So what's really going on here? What's really the Democrat agenda? Because they are hypocrites. And let's go back to Nancy Pelosi. Because Nancy Pelosi is really the face of the Democratic Party. Tom Arnold might be the face of the Democratic Party. Stormy Daniels, Michael Avenatti, the Antifa professors. Are they the face of the Democratic Party? Kind of, but really the leader is Nancy Pelosi. She's the one trying to become Speaker of the House again at age 78. The person who said that we need to read Obamacare, we need to pass Obamacare before we find out what's in it. What is her agenda? Her agenda is open borders. Her agenda is unfettered illegal immigration into this country for various corrupt reasons. But suffice it to say, she's for open borders, she's against the wall, she's for high taxes. The Democrats claim that the Republican tax cut was just about giving crumbs to people. Well, if so, then why are the Democrats preventing the people from getting those crumbs? Why are the Democrats hoarding those crumbs to pay for their incompetent social programs and foreign aid for countries all over the world so they can do private business with them? The American people aren't allowed to get breadcrumbs. Let them eat cake, according to the Marie Antoinette Democrats. The Democrats are all for wars in other countries. The Democrats are all for war in Syria, which is what Barack Obama wanted. They're all for war in Libya. And did you know that slavery, human slavery, is again practiced in Libya thanks to the Islamist chaos that has taken over that country following Hillary Clinton going in and destabilizing the region? And by the way, how come Hillary Clinton stood down and allowed Ambassador Brett Stevens and the other brave heroes at Benghazi to come under fire when it's pretty clear, and it has been confirmed, that what they were doing there was actually buying back weapons that they were selling to ISIS and the other Islamist Al-Qaeda rebels in Syria, using Benghazi as a go-through station. Democrats don't care about the First Amendment, obviously, since they're trying to censor college students on college campuses, censor anybody who's conservative. Silicon Valley, obviously, is throttling down and banning accounts. There were hundreds of accounts deleted by Facebook just yesterday. But as Silicon Valley bans and censors people, where are the Democrats protecting free speech? The Democrats are cheering them right along, saying we must get rid of fake news and misinformation. Well, if you're against fake news and misinformation, then you'd better ban NBC, CBS, and ABC. And you'd better do it right now, because they're having a very harmful effect on the discourse in this country. Not to mention CNN, which for years has had a monopoly on all of the airport television screens, so that when people come to this country, the first thing they see is fake news, reminding them that we live in a Democrat propaganda country. No longer under President Donald Trump. The Democrats don't care about the Second Amendment, and in fact, they're against the Second Amendment. They are for sweeping gun control, like the kind they imposed in Florida. So gun owners all across the country obviously concerned about what will happen if the Democrats get back into power. If the Democrats get back into power, there will be no wall. There will be open, illegal immigration into this country. And lawful, law-abiding American citizens who own guns and practice their free speech will be targeted by the Democrats, because the Democrats no longer control their own party. The Democrats are controlled by foreign interests and ideologue billionaires in San Francisco. This is the Democratic Party. This is the party that will use any tactic, no matter how dirty, in order to try to get back into power in the age of Donald Trump. And so it's more important than ever to call these Democrats out for being hypocrites and to remind people of all of the great economic success and military success and foreign policy success that President Donald Trump has accomplished while he's been in office. And by the way, our GDP would be even higher if the Federal Reserve hadn't instituted 4 interest rate hikes to try to slow the Trump recovery this year alone. Make no mistake, The Democrats will say anything to get back into power. That doesn't mean that you have to believe them. And it doesn't mean that you have to believe the mainstream media. You could just keep reading bigleaguepolitics.com. We'll be back later.